All right, good afternoon, everyone. How you doing? Thank you for joining us for another ConnectWise TV event. Got a couple of guests here. I'll start off with Tim. Tim is from Cornerstone IT. He's one of our partners and also a Level partner. And why don't you go and tell us a little bit about you, Tim, and your business.
It's good to be here. Our business, we started doing managed services in 2007. We were founded in 2003 as a break-fix shop. We are located in Mentor, Ohio, which is about 20 miles outside of Cleveland, Ohio. We have 12 employees, and right now we are using ConnectWise and Level platforms. We've been with ConnectWise since 2008, Level platforms since 2009.
Great. All right. Today we're going to chat a little bit about how you can use Level platforms to gain new partners. We've got Rob Ray here with us. They've been doing some interesting things on that front, and he's going to share some news with you about what you can do with Level platforms around that. You can also get some information by emailing Rob if you want this slide deck at rob@levelplatforms.com if you can't make it through the entire presentation today. And you will also see this recording on ConnectWise TV in addition to the Level Platforms website. Sound good?
Absolutely.
All right. All right, so let's chat a little bit about the modern office. Many of you have seen this concept that we've kind of developed here at ConnectWise, how if you focus on many of the areas in the modern office, you can increase your profitability. So today is pretty obvious. We're going to talk about remote management and monitoring, and we're going to spend a few minutes going over the paradigm shift that we're kind of seeing in the market, and Tim has experienced himself. So Tim, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. When we started, we were running as a break-fix shop. We were using Outlook calendaring and Excel spreadsheets to try and manage and track our business. As it started to grow, we found it to become less manageable. We found that we were missing tickets. Things would fall through the cracks. We started looking at a PSA tool. ConnectWise came out to be the forerunner, and we implemented and have never looked back. So we've become that business analyst. As we've grown our MSP business, which we run right now, about 95% of our customers are true MSP on a monthly recurring revenue. We started going in and talking to them about becoming their business advisor. We are their IT department, and it's worked well for us. We've grown. We're picking up the kind of clients who understand the MSP business. They understand what we're trying to achieve, and we're acting as their trusted advisor, taking them along a path to a more productive and stable environment.
Awesome. We of course have been doing a lot of work over the last little while. Level Platforms has been in existence since 1999, and we've seen this transition from the break-fix world of where the channel used to be, and we actually have a more detailed presentation that we normally do where we talk about the evolution of the channel in that transition from break-fix, where most of your revenues were coming from hardware and hardware sales and those type of margins, into having to evolve into the managed services space. And ultimately, I mean, the next step will be the cloud. One of the awesome things about the cloud, and Tim's actually got a really cool cloud story on what his organization is doing. One of the awesome things about the cloud, at least from a managed services perspective, is that the hype cycle's kind of moved off of managed services. So now we can take a real hardcore look at managed services and really take that hype cycle away from it and look at the core things that are really fueling the market today, where the most successful individuals within the channel, where they're making their money, how they're making their money. And Tim is actually here as a great example for both ConnectWise and Level Platforms on success that our partners are actually having. One of the things that we talk about when, and we do a lot of industry research, Level Platforms is a 100% channel-friendly organization, meaning we only sell our product to the channel. And we only have our one product, which is our remote monitoring solution. So it's critical for us that our customers like Tim make money using it, because that's all, in essence, that's our sole revenue stream. So we do a lot of education, a lot of training around the managed services market, a lot of best practices. What we've done is taking a look at a lot of different sources. We've been able to drill it down to real 3 core economic drivers that have been fueling the growth within the managed services market. Obviously, recurring revenue is critical, and if you go around listening to anybody, they're all writing books about it, the gurus are talking about it. You need to transform your business away from that break-fix and into that recurring revenue and all the benefits that go along with doing that. Getting customers away from waiting for something to break and then paying you $1 to fix it into, hey, pay me $1 a month for the next 12 months, and that's not going to happen. and of course the many, many economic benefits around having a recurring revenue stream within your business, based on company evaluation. I mean, we talk a lot about mergers and acquisitions that are happening. You know, the evaluation of your company is considerably more with a recurring revenue stream versus a break fix. Borrowing money from a bank during recessionary times, staying healthy through recessionary times, those things are all critical, and recurring revenue helps you do that. The second economic driver, of course, is product sales. We still do have a good portion of the market that has not made the transition to managed services. They're still focused on product sales because, you know, they've grown up that way. They're comfortable that way. That's how they've designed their business, run their business, and hired people within their companies for that. And I'll show you a little bit of data here, but in essence, managed services providers, and Tim's got some awesome examples of how they do this, are actually finding more product sales than they were able to in the past, even those that are still focused on product. And then finally, reducing your cost of doing business, finding efficiencies within your business, using technology to help automate a lot of the tasks that you had people doing before, and then streamlining a lot of that so you can find those efficiencies and in essence grow your revenues without having to grow your staff. So there's a lot of examples around that as well. Just very quickly, I want to run through some economic numbers. I want to show you what the market is actually looking at. The first one here is from iPad. iPad's got some really, really cool data around the managed services market and what we're seeing within the managed services market. The first column is what's called a solution provider. And a solution provider is an organization that does not use a PSA or an RMM. So they're not using ConnectWise, they're not using level platforms. The second column here is an MSP average. An MSP is an organization that is using ConnectWise and level platforms. And then finally, the third column is what's called a BIC MSP. That's a best-in-class managed services provider. Some quick numbers here. Solution providers only finding 11% of their revenues from services. Obviously, they're focused on break fix. They're not focused on services, so they're not obviously realizing that benefit, where an MSP is actually tripled that at 31%. What's interesting is when we start talking about product. Solution providers are getting 20% of their revenues from product sales, where actually MSPs are finding 27%. So as a managed services provider, even though you're not necessarily focused on that product revenue stream, you actually can find more product sales by using technology than traditionally in the past.
And we've proven that out. We've gone to clients who are still our break fix clients, deployed the on-site manager, used it as a tool to find out not only what's going wrong, but what can we do to help to bring them forward to a more stable environment. And we have been able to use that. In fact, I just closed a deal for basically redoing an entire infrastructure just by putting the on-site manager on site.
And not charging for it.
And I'm not charging for it. I'm giving it away in the effort to get more product sales.
This is a really interesting number that's really kind of popping out as well. And one of the things that I'm hearing in the industry, I'm sure ConnectWise is as well, is MSPs are looking at firing their customers. In essence, you want to focus on the customers that are going to generate the most revenue, the most ROI for your organization. And I've got a number of great examples. Another ConnectWise level user based out of Philadelphia had 400 customers 5 years ago. He's fired 325 of them. He's only working with 75 customers. He's been able to reduce his staff by a third, but his profitability's gone up 300%. And it's some really interesting data when you start talking about firing customers. It's kind of a scary thing to do. But because he moved all those customers from a break fix to recurring revenue, his profitability has gone up considerably as a result. So you see here that a solution provider on average is touching on average 191 customers per year. That's just touching them, meaning in that particular case, something is broken, I'm going to go out and touch it and I'm going to fix it, whereas an MSP is only touching 86. But again, the profitability is significantly higher. You've made this transition.
Right, and we've actually gone, and the clients we're bringing in now, we make sure that they fit the MSP mold. The clients who are, what's the adage, your noisiest client is not necessarily your best client. Mm-hmm. We reduce those number of headaches. It increases our profitability, but there's a side effect in that your technology people are not as stressed going and fixing the break fix environment. They are doing planned procedural items that keep the environment stable.
Can you share what that kind of assessment, we talked about this last night, you were talking about that assessment that you run everybody through to see if you want to do business with them. Whereas in the past, I mean, in essence, you take any project that came in the door.
Right, and our process is that we actually go and look at a client from the technology perspective. We actually build, with the data that comes out of level platforms, a remediation plan. A client for us cannot become a managed service client until they remediate their network to what we consider best-in-class standards. Once they've reached that, of which I get a project to make a little bit of money on the project work side, once they have a stable network, I bring them onto a managed service plan. My total investment in them, they're quiet. They don't have problems. Why? Because I've remediated the issues, removed the pain, made them productive.
And really, the last thing you want to do is jump into an environment that you've had no influence in. It's not your hardware, it's not your services, it's not how you do things, and start trying to fix another person's issues.
I call that poking the anthill.
Yeah.
We don't do that.
Right. Awesome. There's another study that just recently came out as well. It's very specific to the remote monitoring. It's from an organization called Corelytics, which focuses exclusively around the channel. And again, looking at best practices. There is a PSA study that is about to be released, which is actually reflecting the same numbers. In essence, what it's saying is that organizations that use remote monitoring solutions and PSA solutions are more profitable than those that actually do not. So this is for first half 2011. The channel actually did grow 5.9% from a revenue perspective. Those organizations within the channel that are using a remote monitoring solution like Level Platforms actually grew close to 20%. So you can see there's a significant growth factor that comes into place when you use the technology that's available to you out there. High density users. A high density user is actually labeled as an organization that monitors more than 75% of their customers. And Tim, you're in that group?
Yeah, we're at 95% right now, and I'm shooting for 100 by the end of this quarter.
So even though they're not paying for the technology, they're deploying it, but high density users, meaning they're deploying remote monitoring technology pretty much everywhere they can, are actually growing at a faster rate of 28%. From a profitability perspective, the channel's profitability was at 6.63%. So all channel organizations that were surveyed, 6.63% growth in their profit. Those that are using a remote monitoring solution are actually growing 18% faster. Those high density users, like Tim's organization, are actually growing 50% faster. So if you haven't deployed technology, or if you haven't even deployed technology to your entire customer base, now's the time to do it. The voodoo, the magic is all gone. It's all swirling around the cloud right now, and we'll figure that out later. But there are real hardcore numbers that can be made, dollars that can be made today, just simply by doing some best practices and getting out and using the technology to help manage your business.
Exactly.
There's another cool study that just came out as well. We've just started looking and digging into this one. What I've shown you here, obviously, is that there is opportunity to make lots of money here, right? Monitoring your customers, managed services, it's very, very real. And I think we've shown that through a lot of the different studies that we've actually got, plus real examples. I mean, I've got thousands and thousands of partners, customers that are all within the channel that are making more money than they ever have before, even in the old days where you used to make a lot more money in break fix. Forbes did a study, however, because not the entire end user community has kind of adopted this. And it's taken a while. I mean, I mentioned, like, I've been selling remote monitoring now since 2005, and trying to get even the channel to embrace the technology has taken a long time. It's not something that just kind of blew up overnight. So now that we've got the channel actually singing the song, the problem is that the end users aren't singing it. They're not quite getting it. So Tim and Cornerstone IT has done an awesome job servicing their customer up to this point. Now all of a sudden Tim comes in and says, well, I want to monitor your environment, and I'm going to charge you X amount of dollars to do that. They're all of a sudden going, why would I do that? You've performed great for now. Why would I want to change that? So the end user community is slowly adopting it. We are seeing it. I actually get end users calling Level Platforms on a very regular basis, and we of course farm those leads out to our partners. But so the end user community is growing. But what Forbes actually took a real close look at was the objections that MSPs are getting from these end users. I want to focus on the top three and then give you some ideas on how you can overcome these objections when having conversations with your customers about managed services. And Tim's got some very real examples on how he's also implemented some of this within his customer base. So focusing on the top three objections. Number one is a lack of understanding of the managed services. Like, end users just don't understand what the difference is between what you were doing yesterday and what you're doing today. So ultimately, the objection we're talking about is education. We need to do a better job at educating the end user community as to the value that you're bringing to the table, the value of your service offering. Desire to maintain your own infrastructure comes down to trust. Trust is something that's very, very difficult to establish right out of the gate, especially with a prospect or a new customer. But in essence, with those long-term customers you've been working with, you're able to establish trust, but trust around your services offering is a little bit different. So we've got some ideas on how you can overcome that. And then cost. Price is always an objection you're going to run into. No matter who you're talking to, what product you're looking at, you're always worried, are you going to get value out of the dollar that you're spending? And as we mentioned, you're trying to get your customers, in essence, to spend a little bit more money using newer solutions to a certain extent. You're going to find more product sales, so obviously they're going to have to start spending more money. So cost has always been an objection. And again, we'll show you a quick way on how to overcome that as well.
And when we see the cost value part of the equation, typically they're looking at it as a health insurance policy. And again, it comes back to education to say, what we're offering you is, it's not health insurance, because at some point your computer systems, your infrastructure, your PCs, something will die. By being proactive, doing the remediation, finding those pain points before they become serious pain points, we keep your people working. There's nothing worse than, one of the great examples I always use is, do you really want to walk around your office and watch everyone play solitaire while I try to fix something? No, let's keep your people working.
Awesome. One of the things that we've recently developed at Level Platforms, remote monitoring solution, our foundation has always been in an agentless architecture. In essence, what that means is that when you go into an environment or you use our technology, it's a single deployment at the customer site, and it'll go out and gather all of the data from all the devices that are networked into that environment. So our core function right since day one has always been around agentless. We now have, in our 2010 release, which was a little over a year ago, we did bring an agent into the technology as well. So there are devices, for instance, notebooks that leave the environment. There's also environments that maybe don't have servers within those actual environments. That's where the agent can come into play. So with Level Platforms remote monitoring technology, you actually get the best of both worlds. You get the agentless technology and the agent technology. We call it hybrid. So you can go in and actually use agentless to actually do some really cool things, including what I'm about to show you. Agentless is also going to be critical for cloud monitoring applications. As we make this transition to the cloud, there's a bunch of different things that we have from an agentless perspective that really create differentiators for our customers when it comes to actually monitoring their networks. So network audits is something that we kind of stumbled across, actually. What we did was we started looking at our fastest growing customers, because I noticed that there were some customers that had invested quite a bit into sales and marketing even during the recession. So they'd actually been growing exponentially quickly in comparison to others. Probably about, I'm going to say about 10% of our customer base. I went out and actually talked to them and said, what is it that you guys are doing to open the door to new prospects? How are you selling your managed services offering, especially when we're seeing very difficult times around the country, around organizations struggling, end users going out of business. I mean, even some good MSPs had to merge and be acquired in order to stay in business. We went out to the industry gurus out in the marketplace as well. We do a lot of work with the MSPUs and the Robin Robins of the world, and what is it that they're seeing? What is it that they're preaching? What is it that they're seeing from a best practices perspective on how to penetrate new customers, how to develop your managed services offering? What we did was we took all this information, we gave it back to our technical team. What we found were some consistencies, and specifically around network audits, IT assessments, those kinds of ideas. It's something that every organization's always wanted to do, but I think it's something that's always been difficult to do, because when I did talk to the guys that aren't using some type of network audit process or aren't using technology like Level Platforms to do this, they're literally crawling under desks and writing down serial numbers or picking and choosing devices that they want to take a closer look at. One of the other benefits of Level Platforms, of course, with our agentless architecture is you don't need to deploy software on every device. So if I'm now trying to develop trust, we talk a little bit about trust, I'm trying to develop trust with you. When I come into your environment and you barely know me and I'm saying I want to deploy an agent or I want to deploy technology on every device, you're going to start getting a little bit shaky. So this is where our customers, and Tim will give you a real example on how he uses it, really can differentiate themselves. So the network audit is a bundle of reports based on best practices, based on what we have seen and what we've been told within the marketplace of what it is that they're doing to start those conversations that they're having with prospects. So here's how it works. What you do is you take a laptop with the agentless on-site manager on it, so our technology on it. You take it into that customer's domain. While you're having a conversation with this customer, you can run this technology and it'll go out and scan everything that's networked into that environment. So in essence, because of the agentless, you're going to capture stuff that this end user you're sitting here having a conversation with doesn't even know exists within that environment. What you also do is you want to let it sit there, and I'll let you maybe walk us through your network audit process, but you want to make it sit there and have it sit there for a little bit of time. I've got customers that will maybe put off reports right there while they're sitting with their prospect, but you want to find pain. You want to open the door. You want to find issues within this customer's environment, and by letting it sit there for as long as you possibly can, we'll find more pain, more upsell opportunities, and of course the conversation becomes a lot easier when you're talking about how or what value you're going to bring to this particular customer. So let it run for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, deploy some policy modules, get some trending data, deploy some scripts even if you want to, just to try to find more of the pain that comes in. Then after this period is over, you're going to walk back into that customer site, you're going to print off our network audit bundle, and then you're going to have some real intelligent information that you can actually go through this prospect or even your existing customer when you're trying to show them the value of your managed services offering. You're going to print off this report. By the way, Level Platforms is completely customizable. Your logos, your color, your branding. Remember, we don't sell to end users, so we're not interested at all in Level Platforms branding, so it's all your service offering. It totally 100% looks like your product. You go back and then you can sit down with this prospect and review everything that's within there. Do you mind sharing us a little more detail there?
What we've done for new clients, as Rob said, we have a little Acer laptop that we take out, we join it to the domain, we let it collect data. Let's go backward a step though. Prior to this technology, I had to deploy an engineer, and usually not a tier 1 or tier 2, I'm talking a tier 3 engineer, to go out and do that network audit. Spend 8 to 16 hours on site gathering information, as Rob said, crawling around, finding serial numbers. That was a highly expensive adventure. And then we'd have to come back, write the report up, but we weren't seeing all of the underlying issues that might be there. What this has done for us, in fact, we just finished an audit last week for a client where we found that in their network, they had an issue with Active Directory, which if we hadn't dug into Active Directory deeply, we might not have seen. We found out that half their machines were not even joined to the domain. We were able to take that data and actually utilize that to show the client they didn't even know. We also ran this report for our top 10 clients, just to find out, are there things that we don't know? Can we provide better service at the same price to our existing client base?
Did you find stuff?
Oh yes, we found a number, not only issues, potential issues, but we also found project work and more remediation where we're able to go out and sell different services saying, we found this, we can fix this. And the client is very happy to see that because, again, they're not losing the productivity. They're feeling that we're there looking out for their best interests. We're not trying to point fingers. We are just trying to make sure they have a stable environment to work in.
So this network audit bundle that we've created here, I mean, it again goes back to our commitment to the channel, goes back to our commitment to making sure that our customers are profitable, making money, and of course buying more Level Platforms as a result. This was made available. It was made available earlier in the year. We actually started working on it about February or March timeframe as a beta outside the product with our R2 release in August. It's now built into our product. So if you're a current Level Platforms user, highly recommend. It's not going to cost you anything. We threw it into the product. We give it to you guys all for free. So if you're a Level Platforms customer, highly recommend you do what Tim did. Just run that network audit on top 10 customers, all your customers, and see what other project work you can find. You may even be able to identify some specific issues that you haven't come across from alerting in the past. But again, the whole idea is that this is also there to open the door to have that conversation, not only with prospects in trying to get their business or steal them away from another solution provider, but also with your existing customers to try to get them to understand the value that you're bringing to the table. And when you can find pain, that's pretty good value.
A great example of that is we took the software report to a client and sitting there in a meeting with them, not 5 minutes into the meeting, they're going through the report. They don't need this, they don't need that. They're going through all the different software that's installed in their enterprise that they didn't even know about. Mm-hmm. That reduces the possibility of the spyware infections. Mm-hmm. It reduces the overworking of machines. It was a great feeling to say, here, I'm just giving you this report. And they went through it. Again, a little remediation plan came out. We went through and we ran scripts to start uninstalling software.
That's all revenue generating.
All revenue generating, all little bit fun for the end users, but
One of the things, or what I want to do is actually show you what these 8 reports are. I mean, I gave you my, where you talked about my email address right off the top. If you send me an email to rob@levelplatforms.com, all the information that we're reviewing today, all the data that I've given you around revenue generation, the network audit reports, the details around the network audit, and these 8 reports, please, if you send me that email, I'll have all this information sent out to you. So these 8 reports, again, are based on best practices. This is based on what real MSPs, real Level Platforms partners are doing today, how they're making money at it, and basically was a synopsis or kind of pulled together kind of some of the generalities. Level Platforms has 40, 50 some odd preloaded reports within our technology ready to go. So you can supplement it with other reports if you wish, but this is based on those best practices and is designed as a bundle, which means when you go into the technology, you pull up a customer site and you press on that network audit button, and it's going to produce these 8 reports. So it's a hardware inventory summary, a software inventory summary. Immediately, what you're going to find with these 2 reports, and Tim kind of referred to it there, is that you're going to find devices that were not supposed to be part of that environment, or that the IT department or the owner of the business doesn't even know exist within there. You're going to find software that shouldn't be in that environment as well. And that's always a given. You're always going to find something that shouldn't be in there. Site device summary, a Windows licensing summary. You want to start talking about upsell opportunities. What Windows licensing is a relatively easy one. You can start finding non-compliant type devices within those environments very, very quickly. And a lot of those reports, those first 4 reports, are stuff that you can do in a matter of minutes. That's what the agentless technology does. When you actually go out there, deploy it, within minutes you can pull off those 4 reports and start finding surprises, pain, that kind of compliance issues, that kind of stuff.
So Rob, can I ask you something
Absolutely.
about that? So that to me is the most powerful thing that I've heard here, is that you can do it very, very quickly, right? We talked about letting the device sit there and percolate a little bit and spend some time in the operations, but if you can sit within 5 minutes of having a conversation with an owner, getting on their network, and then start giving them pain points, that is powerful.
That absolutely is.
We find that the more you can bring to them, that trust level goes up immediately.
Absolutely.
Because I'm able to show them immediate results to tools that I bring to the table.
Very cool.
The next ones are ones that where we recommend you actually let it sit there for a little bit. Get some data, because you're obviously going to find more pain,
Sure.
right? You're going to find some
Absolutely,
alerts. So you point it back to your dashboard, which is a web-based console that's set up in your environment or hosted environment, and then you plug it in, and then what's going to happen is you're going to start seeing stuff like when you start getting the server health, and you start seeing trending. Workstation health, you start getting some trending. You can start identifying machines that are at risk right out of the gate.
Right, and we see that a lot initially where low disk space, machines underpowered, not able to actually do the job that the people are expected to get done in a day. That's really where that report comes in very handy.
Right.
Very cool.
Security audit. Obviously, security is, I think, one of the easier things to sell. If you can show security gaps within a customer's environment, it's one of the easier conversations to have around, you need to fix this and this and this, or you're going to have these problems. That's, of course, included in there. And then, of course, a network services summary. So these are the 8 reports. It's all, again, preloaded, your branding, your colors, your logo, delivered to your customers by email, in person. It's a great way to open the door with actual prospects as well when you can gather this data. How many pages is this report on average?
The software report itself was about, for a 75-seat network, was 96 pages.
So 96 pages of data that you can go through, and quickly you can highlight some of the issues that you can find within that environment. And that's really powerful stuff when you can do that.
And one of the big ones, that the Windows security audit, we go into a new network, we find a number of cases where people are still local admin on their machines. That in some cases I found a company that everybody was a domain admin. Very, very dangerous, not only to the enterprise, to the data, but to the people themselves who are going to, with no malice aforethought, make a mess of their machines.
Absolutely. This is a newer report actually. It just was added to our R2 product, which was released in August. It's not part of the network audit bundle, but very, very highly recommended here, because this, again, is a report that only Level Platforms is generating today, and it is a huge benefit. It's called a site warranty forecast. In essence, you can actually get all of the warranty information automatically from all the tier 1 hardware within that customer's environment. You can even go as far as to set up alerts on stuff that is going to come outside warranty. And Tim, you mentioned to me that you've actually started using this.
The minute I saw this report, I ran it on my top 10 clients in conjunction with this, I went into the ConnectWise sales forecasting and I started putting quotas against my techs. Not that they have to meet them, but to show them that if you go out and organically farm these reports, you can find business. Out of our top 10 clients, we'll probably turn over the next 6 months roughly $50,000 in revenue just through these warranty reports.
Yeah, I think that's a great story about the integration, that warranty information comes through to the configurations in ConnectWise through the auto discovery process on a nightly basis, right? And then from there, you can do a lot of management with regards to the sales cycle and in fact, even campaign reporting, right? The marketing campaigns in ConnectWise can track your return on investment on that campaign that you expect to generate $50,000 of revenue on.
Right, and prior to this release of Level Platforms, we really weren't doing that, and we started watching Arnie's sales presentation.
Yep.
And we took what data we were getting, kind of blended them together, and said, I've got a better product because of this.
Yep.
Awesome.
Level Platforms, obviously, I think ConnectWise was one of the first integrations we've ever had, and it's one of the critical integrations. It's helpful because obviously our mutual partners are more profitable than those that aren't using one or the other. This kind of stuff, and especially feeding in and staying on that cutting edge stuff so that we can focus on where our customers need to make money, it's critical for us. I know it's critical for ConnectWise because we have this conversation a lot. So, using those two tools, even from this perspective on something that we just developed 2 months ago, is really, really slick. I mean, right out of the gate, people are making money with this type of information. So the idea, again, going back to sales, and Tim and I had this conversation about sales and technical and the fact that trying to get your technicians to go out to your customers and actually sell your managed services offering, it's a challenge. The network audit report, we like to think, and I think Tim will back this up, is it kind of makes it easier because you are talking about a technical sale. You're going in with ammunition that you know what to talk about, but in essence, you're making it and showing value for what it is you're bringing to the table. In essence, you're actually selling managed services by using this type of network audit. What you've done here is you've eliminated the first two objections. So education, quickly you've shown them the report, and the report has shown them that you actually, or the value that you can bring to the table by using this technology. And I promise you, and maybe you can back me up here, there's not a lot of environments that are being monitored today from this deep level perspective, meaning if you actually do run this type of scan on a customer environment, you're going to find that they're either not being monitored by a solution provider, or if they are, probably very loosely, because you will find pain.
And we've seen that in, I would say, probably 95 to 100% of the clients I walk into, potential clients, they're running in a traditional break-fix environment. They have no monitoring. They don't even know what's going on in their own network. And again, that's the purpose of the blend of the MSP, Level Platforms, ConnectWise, is that we're walking in, being their trusted advisor, showing them that we can manage their IT infrastructure, they can run their business. Do what you're good at.
Right. So education is out the window. We've shown them the value that you can bring to the organization just by with this network audit report alone. Trust, obviously, we've eliminated as an objection as well, because now you've shown them stuff within their own environment that they didn't even know existed. And all you did was just leave a notebook there for a very brief period of time, and now you're able to gather all of this data that's within there. One of the biggest objections you're going to continue to hear, of course, we've talked about, is cost. So how do you get your customers transition to a managed services offering? What we've done is we've taken kind of the lowest common denominator, and there are a million ways to carve a turkey. So when I look at the consistencies within my customer base on how do they go to market, how do they sell managed services, it is different. Everybody does it different. Some people do an all-you-can-eat, gold, silver, bronze, flat fee, whatever the case may be, because you can also add different services within your actual managed services offering. This is one way that you can actually do it. I'm sure, Tim, you probably do it a different way than what we were going to talk about today, but this is one way that actually does work. So we talked a little bit about firing customers at the beginning. What I want you to do is I want you to try this with every single one of the break-fix customers you're working with before you fire them, because the goal of getting them onto recurring revenue, this will help open it up. So the idea is that you have this network audit report. You've gone through it with the end user that you're talking to. You've shown them all the projects and the cost and the amount of time that it's going to take to do all of this. All right, Mr. End User Customer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what my service offering looks like. I'm going to monitor and alert on your environment. I'm going to watch your environment 24/7. And by doing this, I'm going to make sure that all this stuff that we just found and all this cost that we just found isn't going to happen again moving forward, because now I am going to take care of your environment. I'm going to provide you a list of reports, including that asset management report, a security assurance report. So we're going to close all these gaps. We're going to get rid of all this out of warranty stuff. We're going to clean up all this other hardware, but I'm going to continue to send you reports so that you can see that I am doing these kinds of tasks for you. Preventative maintenance. We have an awesome scripting engine within Level Platforms. We launched a new scripting engine probably about 8 months ago. There's 150 preloaded automated tasks. Go through our library, pick and choose a couple of things that you can do in there. Temp file, clean out, defrag. We actually, in our R2 version, now have the ability to shut down Windows devices at 7 p.m. every night, so you can start having energy conversations. Go through the library, add a few of those to your initial managed services offering.
One of our favorite script is the ability to update Adobe Reader and Adobe Flash every time they patch it.
So add those scripts into there, so make it part of your initial offering. And then, Mr. End User Customer, I'm going to send these reports to you. Maybe it's the network audit bundle, maybe it's some other reports. We come preloaded with 50 some odd reports. Pick and choose what it is that you want in there. And then finally, Mr. End User, we're going to sit down every 90 days. We're going to review everything that's happened, everything that needs to happen. And what do you sell this for? $199 a month. So what you've done is you've deployed technology, Level Platforms, and our cost is significantly less than this. Your ROI immediately on $199 just to monitor, alert, and report. So technology is doing it. You're sending automatic reports. You're using the scripting engine. You're going to find those upsell opportunities, but that's outside of this for $199 a month. So if you have one of these break-fix customers that won't give you $2,400 a month after you've shown them the value of what you can find in a network audit, then take a look at whether this is a customer you want to continue doing business with. I do this presentation quite a bit. Actually, I've been on the road way too long and doing this presentation in front of thousands and thousands of people. There is always a number of organizations within the crowd that take this and run it to market and immediately just start spamming it out. And there is always a situation where a customer, a solution provider within the channel immediately is able to sell 4, 5, 6 of these out of the gate. So what you've done by eliminating cost as an objection is now you've had a conversation with a prospect, you've shown them your wares, you've shown them a low barrier to entry. Now the idea, if I go back to the $199 for a quick sec, the idea is that now I've got a network audit that's got all this pain and all this cost. I've shown you what my managed services offering is. Let's talk about this. Let's say we start building in this $60,000 worth of pain that you're going to pay me over the next X amount of years to do. Let's build that into a contract. So instead of $199, let's do $299, $699. I've got customers that actually sell this for $8,000 a month as an all-you-can-eat type model. You can start building in and start having intelligent conversations. So rather than here's the pain, fix the pain, pay me $1, you can now say, here's my monthly recurring revenue cost in order for us to be able to continue to do business forever. Lock them into contracts, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year.
And we typically do a 3-year contract. And everybody says, wow, 3 years, that's a long time. Technically, 3 years goes by pretty fast. And with the technology changing every 18 months, most customers cannot keep up with the speed of how fast things change. Well, they're relying on us to go out and do that work for them to find out what is the next phase, to position them to be along the technology track, and to do it at a cost that they couldn't have done it themselves.
Awesome. We did want to take an opportunity, obviously, to talk about integration. I think Tim brings a lot of value to the table. He is one of those best-in-class managed services IT providers. He has been a fantastic partner for Level. He's been a fantastic partner for ConnectWise for even longer than Level. So I think, obviously, it would be appropriate for you to start talking about the integration, how you use the two technologies together. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thank you very much. We started out with the Level platforms. The first thing we noticed about it was that we collect a lot of data to start with.
This one.
What we did was we broke it into a 3-tier system. Our Tier 1 engineers start off with, we have a 42-inch TV up with this alert viewer running throughout the day. And I've trained my Level 1 technicians to listen for the bell. It's a Pavlovian response. When you hear the bell, there's something to look at. We get a number of informational alerts. We get a number of potential problems. We've had, I believe there's an alert in here where a server went down. It may have been that the customer was rebooting something. We'll call that customer and verify, hey, did you do this? Did you know about this? We've had instances where we've pulled up bad disk blocks. We start to see trends in hardware we were able to go back and remediate a client before his server died. In the middle of the transition, it actually did die. Luckily, we already had a snapshot of at least the data that we could bring him back to production. But we were able to, he was one of our break fix customers. He would have never known that that break was coming had we not been monitoring his systems. So our level ones are trained, listen for the bell, see what's going on, call the customer.
The alert viewer, by the way, is completely customizable. So you want your customers to come into the office, or if you have customers come by the office, putting it on that big screen TV is huge. It shows huge value of what it is that you're doing, and really those eyes that we talked about in that environment. So you can change the colors, put your logos. It's your offering. You see it. They see it, and you can even change that sound. Like we've got some customers that sounds like a bomb goes off when something goes wrong. So it's customizable from that perspective too.
We tried using the red alert sound from Star Trek, but that got a little too heavy. But we do. The first stop on our tours when we bring clients into the office is we have this up. We have a bunch of gadgets showing us tickets in process, any P1 alerts, all this driven from LPI, ConnectWise. And our technicians are constantly watching it, and we've trained them to say, respond quickly. That's what clients want. They want the response. We try to respond to every alert within 15 minutes if it's a ticketable alert.
We've started creating a little photo library of customer sites and what they look like on their large screen TV set up within their environment. So if you guys are looking for some help on that, definitely contact us, and we can show you what some environments actually look like.
And it's a great product. Mm-hmm. Going to the service board, the integration that we have, when we find ticketable items, we automatically load that ticket into ConnectWise, which then auto-assigns to a technician who is my proactive tech. His job in life is to sit here and watch this board every day. He's a Tier 2 technician. He's got about 15 years in the industry. He's very technically adept, but we don't let him out of the cage much. So that is his job, is to watch this board and to go through. You can see just by this particular screen, we've got roughly 20 alerts that came within a half day or less. So
that's all money, right?
And that's all money. We do see a lot of local disk, logical disk running low. There's an upsell opportunity. We have people who have IP issues. I see a lot of that where people are starting to get more and more devices, and all of a sudden your IP ranges start becoming, the high water mark gets hit. These are the things that we can remediate easily before they become a problem. So his life lives in this ConnectWise service board. He also comes back and says, I saw this alert go by. We then go up to the central dashboard, which you can see we've customized for our use. They can go in, a third-tier engineer can go through and look and see, what alerts do I have? What am I actually watching? Should it have been ticketable? There is a lot of information that comes through the service board. A lot of it is purely informational. Some of it is issues. Once we see a ticket from the LPI side we feel should be a ticket in ConnectWise, we'll go through and modify that specific alert to now generate a ticket every time, so that, again, we're starting to get better at what we do. We fine-tune it. We found that it took us about 6 months to fine-tune it down. Now if I see one every 2 months where I have to say that should have been a ticketable item, it now just runs. And the great part about it is it's an automated process. Again, we talk automation and process. If human fingers get involved, mistakes happen. I go back to the days of the Excel spreadsheets, and that was so frustrating from a management perspective, trying to know exactly what's going on in our world. We've mostly eliminated those issues. We've also been able to take this and customize it so that our customers can log in. They can see their alerts. They can also remote into their machines. So I've built a remote access, an SSL secure remote access for my clients.
Is CoreCare, I see CoreCare on your dashboard, is that your branded services offering?
That's our branded services offering, and like we say, we have a CoreCare Bronze and a CoreCare Silver and CoreCare Gold. I'd love somebody to buy CoreCare Platinum, but that's on-site support 24/7, and nobody wants to spend that money anymore. But we have built in our offerings to make sure that it's an all-you-can-eat, and we always clarify this because once a client hears all-you-can-eat, they stop listening. Yeah. It's an all-you-can-eat support plan. Anytime you hear the words new, configure, setup, add, those are projects. So those fall outside the contract. And so that's how we bring our remediation projects into play. That's how we bring in and monetize this to say, not only am I making money just by charging for level platforms, but I'm also making my money on the projects I can garner from it. and I can make my life easier. And it's a win-win situation. It's got to be win-win. And that's one of the best parts about it, is that it makes it very easy to win.
Great. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So obviously, if you want any information on anything that we've talked about today, Tim is one of our 3,000 partners. We've got a lot of partners that help out the community, like Tim. I'm flying out here to Tampa to help us do this presentation today. We've got a number of partners that are willing to help. Great resources within Level Platforms to help our partners go to market. Obviously, the network audit and some very, very cool tools around that. If you want any more information around Level Platforms or anything that we've talked about today, the network audit as a great example. If you send me an email, rob@levelplatforms.com, I will send you those eight best practices reports that we talked about, including some documents, brochures on how to position it with your end users, the value of it, how to technically deploy it. So we do a lot of work and support around that. Or just go to levelplatforms.com and you'll definitely get a lot more information. On our website within levelplatforms.com, we actually do on our front page have an education seminar, and there's a product demo. So if you want to look hardcore at the actual product, click on that. If you want to take a look at more information, our education seminar, again, is designed around helping MSPs go to market with their managed services offering, hopefully with Level Platforms, but ultimately you need the tools. Just go out and get the tool that's right for your business. We can definitely help you from a best practices perspective, even if it's not Level, that is the tool that you ultimately want to go with or ultimately decide. We, of course, are huge supporters of ConnectWise. The integration goes way back. They've been friends with ours virtually since day one. We've grown up together, ultimately,
Absolutely.
when we were real small organizations. We are Platinum sponsors, very happy to be Platinum sponsors at the upcoming IT Nation event in Orlando. We attend it every year. Every year we seem to increase our status there, and we're very, very happy this year that we can actually be Platinum sponsors there. We are doing a pre-day event. The Wednesday, November 8th is the event. It starts at 9:30, it ends at 4, and it will be at the same venue as where the IT Nation is, which does begin on Thursday. Free to register. We've got limited space, and the space, we've got probably about half the room left, so I would recommend that you register for it sooner than later. We have a lot of good content, including a lot of very good partners that are coming out. Again, as a vendor, I'm going to give you information about our product. I'm going to give you as much information you need, but ultimately where the value from our sessions come from is from our partners. And we have our partners drive a lot of the content within there. So you'll have an opportunity to talk to other MSPs. Tim will actually be there himself as well. So you'll have an opportunity to talk to them live, what they're doing, best practices, how does it work, how do I do this, and those kinds of things. So definitely of huge value, and as I mentioned, free to register. I think it's click on the button on your screen and you can actually register for our event or contact us at Level Platforms. We'll get you set up. And we are very excited, looking forward to being in Orlando in November.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to IT Nation. It's going to be great. All right, let's do some Q&A. How does that sound?
Absolutely.
All right.
Ray. That's your boss, isn't it?
That's right. That's the owner of Cornerstone
There
IT.
you go.
He should be
We
sitting
can
right
delete
here
him.
between us.
All right, we've got a question here from Andy. You want to
Yeah, sure.
take that one, Rob?
Other questions in the warranty forecast report. Vendor equals other in the warranty forecast report. I'm not absolutely sure what the question is, but maybe if you can walk us through what the warranty forecast report, the warranty report, actually how it looks, how it works.
The report itself has, it'll break out Dell computers, HP computers. Usually if it's a white box or it's SNMP, it can't determine who the end manufacturer is, it will drop that into the other bucket.
Okay. That's what that other question
Right, that's what
is?
that other, I believe
Got
that's
it.
what he's shooting for.
Yeah, that
Okay,
makes sense.
perfect.
All right. Any others, Amy?
That's it.
Okay.
Oh, wonderful.
All right. That's our Q&A. And again, we will have this recording online at ConnectWise TV in our university. And in addition to that, it'll be on your site
We
too.
will absolutely
Rob.
make it available to all of our partners, prospects, whoever's interested in taking a look at it, for sure.
Great. Thank you for joining us today. Take care.
Thank you, and good night.